You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
The new trailer for Deadpool looks great. I have to admit, it looks really, really good.
The one where you just see Wolverine's shadow?
Yeah, at the end, you just see with the. But before that, it's basically him and the TVA from Loki, and I was going, "Oh my God, this is great!"
I didn't see that one. I just saw the teaser, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, you need to see the long one because evidently that's how they get him into the MCU. Is the TVA comes and abducts him. So you probably do want to watch season 2 of Loki before Deadpool.
I've seen that. I've seen Loki, but I've not seen I haven't seen the second Deadpool movie.
You don't really have to see the second one. No, I wouldn't think. It's basically, who's the bad guy in it? Cable, Cash, Cage, some imprisoned superhero dude is the bad guy in it, and Deadpool has to assemble his own Avengers team, and that's pretty funny. Just the auditions or the interviews for the position are really funny.
Yeah, I would watch the second film before I move on, I think. But so if they have to capture him, if the TWA has to capture him, does that mean he will still be his R-rated self?
Oh, yeah, that's the reason they did it, I think. Somebody online theorized that it's possibly an alternate reality so that the MCA and Disney can accept the fact that he's R-rated.
Well, I mean, they were cussing in comic books when I read them as a kid.
Yeah.
They didn't use the F-bomb, but they used other stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'd be curious to see how they do it. There was another one I was going to.
I mean, I could easily see Wolverine cursing. He would have been one of the ones cursing back in the day.
Oh yeah, of course. But what was it? There was something else I saw, and I was going to mention that to Tim, but it was horror related.
Horror. You said something about that Sting trailer.
But screw that noise. I'm not even. No, hell no. That's the exact size of the I don't like this particular spider size.
I'm going to ride a spider bug just for you.
Yeah, put the Snuggles bear in it too. That would be just perfect.
I'm curious to see how you react to the mid-credit sequence in the Marvels. And I will go ahead and warn you that it is an alternate reality.
Of course it is.
It's another timeline, let's put it that way. But it surprised me. It was not what I thought it was going to be. And it was welcome, actually.
I heard Madam Web totally bombed.
It does not appeal to me at all.
No.
Is that a Sony picture?
Yep. That's
because
Spider-Man.
it's in the Spider War. Yeah, because that's what I thought. And I thought, I just have no desire to see Dakota, what's her face, in anything.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, she's kind of been marred for me since she was in 50 Shades of Grey. And I haven't even seen that, but everyone said she's so bad in it. Yeah, I just thought, it's the new Kristen Stewart.
Yep. Yeah, she's pretty bland in general. So, yes, there's that.
Yeah, I saw her on SNL, and I was like, this is really your second time hosting? Come on.
Yep.
Lorne, you need to get Tina Fey in there now.
Whatever it was.
I sent you news on Holly. It's getting an adaptation. Yeah.
Getting its own movie or series.
Yeah, they're saying they need to make the novella into a movie too, and then it'll be complete.
But they have to resolve all the differences, right? Because the Holly that we watched on the one that I watched is different than the ones in the books, and it's different than the one on the
No,
series,
it's the same
right?
character. It's just being played by different actresses. They cast
But
her
aren't
as a,
they?
but she was
Aren't
not a
they?
black woman in the book.
That's what I
don't
mean.
think. Yeah,
It's
no,
different races and different. Yeah.
no. I mean, they just. I
So,
mean, it's very similar to what we're going to talk about today. They just cast Cynthia Erivo because she was the best that auditioned, I'm sure, or the best that they had in mind.
yeah.
The girl that plays her in the I mean, is it Mr. Mercedes?
Mercedes. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Mercedes.
Those 3 seasons, I've only seen the first 2. She's great too. So, I mean, I don't know who they'll go with. If they're smart, they'll probably just cast someone new.
Yep. That's what they should do.
Yeah. And just let someone else play her. I mean, it is going to be a new director and his vision. So, I mean, he could do whatever he wants to. Cultural. Dennis and I went to Epcot Friday and met Michael Reyes. I think it's Michael Reyes is his name. He's the guy that does the Gideon's artwork. This is one of them. This is just a flying death's head cookie. But he does all the other misfit children that are like little monster children, like vampires and mummies and stuff.
Okay.
And it was great. We had to stand in line almost an hour to get into the booth to buy stuff. Then we had to get in line for another hour to get him to sign stuff. So we basically spent almost 3 hours in that one part of Epcot, which was right outside the Chinese pavilion, coincidentally. And he was amazing. I mean, he's chatty, so they put a little hourglass out there that you're not supposed to violate, or he will keep talking and the line will never move. And Dennis got him talking, and they flipped that hourglass several times because the guy was not going to quit talking to Dennis. It was very touching, actually. He signed like 6 things for us. I got him to sign some of our cards, and then Dennis got him to sign all the artwork we bought. And excuse me, Dennis, I asked him a question. I was curious as to where Jonathan Lindworm came. He was an early character that was not a drawing. He was a real human. And Dennis talked to him for a long time. And then Dennis finally said, I just want to thank you for all the misfit children of the world. I really identify with your artwork because I was a fat gay kid in Mississippi with bad acne. And all of a sudden, they were both crying. I was like, no. And then people, like the woman that was supposed to be pushing us along was crying. Like the first woman that was next in line was crying. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite a moment that everyone was brought to tears. And Michael said, I really appreciate you saying that because that is exactly the reason I do this. He said, my issue was with, I can't think of the word of it, just being very introverted and not wanting to talk to people and hard for him to communicate. And that was the way he communicated. And now, of course, he has to communicate, and he was fine. But I didn't sense shyness at all. He's a chatty catty for sure. But anyway, It was very cool for all you Gideon's folks out there that see this in a bonus episode. It was well worth the wait. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered what it was. It wasn't horror. It's a superhero. Fantastic Four. Did you see the casting?
I did.
Initial reaction?
Well, I think that it's really weird casting a skinny Ben Grimm. He should be. It's the same with Beast in X-Men. Even Kelsey Grammer as Beast is not big enough. They need to be in human form. They need to be big guys. So I like that actor. He's on the Bear, that show, The Bear.
Okay.
He's one of the leads in The Bear. He's not the lead, but he's one of the leads. I like him a lot, but I don't see him as Ben Grimm. And then Pedro Pascal, I'm like, I never saw Ben Grimm. I mean, saw Reed Richards as being Hispanic.
Nope.
But I mean, I like Pedro Pascal. So I actually can handle him more than the guy they cast as Ben Grimm. And I don't know who the other two are. I have no idea.
Well, Joseph Quinn is on Stranger Things. He's Eddie, the one that everybody worshipped on last season of Stranger Things. The long
Okay,
hair.
I guess he got a haircut and I didn't recognize him or something.
Yeah, he's the Johnny Torch, Johnny
Yeah,
Human Torch
Johnny.
guy.
It's the
Yeah.
Human Torch, Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm. He's Sue Storm's sister, brother.
And Sue Storm is a Storm girl.
She's the invisible. She's the invisible girl.
Oh, okay.
She can create force fields and she can become invisible. Fantastic Four is great, and Doctor Doom is a great villain. And I think, is this the fourth time they've tried or third?
Yep, fourth. I think. I'm pretty sure
it's the fourth, and I just don't know. I don't think people understand it. I think they need to give it to Jon Favreau.
Well, I don't know why they didn't cast Krasinski. I mean,
he's perfect. He is perfect. He would make a great Reed Richards.
Yeah, he would be perfect for that.
And he's already done it. Didn't he do it in Loki?
He did it in Doctor Strange. He was in the alternate reality they were in, the multiverse. He was Reed Richards.
Oh, it was the Wanda Doctor Strange. Yes, you're right. Okay, but I was thinking they were in Loki's world, but you're right. It was some high council or something.
Yeah, they were the Illuminati in whatever Earth that world or whatever world that was.
Yeah, and I thought Krasinski was just genius at playing that.
Yeah, he was perfect. And, of course, Xavier was in that again. Patrick Stewart played Xavier in that one. And somebody else was really good I thought, in those characters.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Me neither. Okay.
And maybe Krasinski wasn't available. I don't know.
Well, he's doing his own projects, so maybe they wanted to tie him into it, like a 5-year contract or something like that. True.
But that universe could be, or that storyline could spawn so many great movies, and there's so many good crossover opportunities with it. Galactus is in that world. I think Kang and maybe even Thanos are in that world too. The Watcher from What If is in that world. Silver Surfer is in that world. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there, and Doctor Doom is in that world. So they could easily show up in an Avengers movie or something. It wouldn't surprise me, but they wouldn't be Avengers. They would just be help.
All right. Count us in. 3, 2,
1. And they're doing it now on streaming platforms. Oh. I'm alone.
And 3, 2,
1. So you ready for some of my medical news?
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I had an MRI done with a contrast. And let me go ahead and start recording. Check 1, 2. I have a labral tear in my right hip.
I didn't even know you had labia.
Well, your labra is the cartilage between the bone and the socket. Like when you get a chicken bone, it's that white cap that's on it. And it doesn't really heal. It's hard to explain. Anyway, a hip replacement would fix everything, but they don't want to do a hip replacement because I have mild arthritis and they don't like putting a fake bone in there when my bone is all right. So I have to have arthroscopic labral repair, and they have to fix the bone, which is cam impinged, to make it quit doing what it did to tear my labrum. That's it.
Right. Okay.
So they basically, it's a non-invasive surgery. It's orthoscopic or arthroscopic, however you say that.
Yeah.
But the recovery is a lot longer than a hip replacement surgery. So I know it makes me go, well, why don't you just give me a fucking new hip?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he said, look, you could have to have a hip replacement again in 20 years. So why put one in right now? He said, just get this done. And basically. So I'm going to be on crutches.
Yeah, but Doc, those will be 20 good years.
I'm going to be on crutches for 4 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, sucks. I feel for it. That sucks. That's not cool.
No. But what he does is he goes in and he said, I probably won't have to reconstruct. He said, I won't know till I get in there. If you have to reconstruct, they basically scrape the bone so it's bleeding and try to get that labrum to adhere. And then they just like bind it and cinch it and like tie it to the bone or whatever. First, they have to dislocate the bone, by the way. First, they have to pull it out of the socket. That's the way Dennis was. You should have seen him in the office this morning. I mean, he was just squirming. And he said, if we don't have to do that, he said, it may just be reattaching it because it's torn. And I said, do you use staples? I said, is there going to be metal in me? And he said, well, they're staples. They're called anchors, but they're not. They're a composite of stuff like that your bone is made out of. And I was like, that is crazy that they have a composite that strong. And he said, oh, it's very
screws.
Strong. Right. I think it's staples, but, well, I mean, I don't know. What do I know? Anyway, then after he gets that fixed and back in socket, he takes what I call a Dremel and shapes my bone down to keep it from doing that anymore. And I essentially have it on the other side too. But the thing is I think when I fell 2 summers ago, I must have torn it. And it's just getting worse because of the cam impingement. He said, we like the bone measurement, or whatever that means, to be between 44 and 50. And he says, yours is a 66. So they got to file some of that shit away. And I can't, since I got loaded up on steroids one more time in January to see if that would help, and it didn't.
Yeah.
But now I can't have surgery for 3 months because of the steroid. They won't let you. So I can't have it till May 1st. So I'm having surgery May 1st. I've already scheduled it. And I'm going to be hobbling around this summer. Well, it's not easy for them to see. I had an MRI with contrast, and he said, there's definitely tearing. He said, but I can't tell how extensive it is. He said, until I get in there. He said, sometimes we have to completely reconstruct it, and that's the binding thing. He said, if I can remove like a stray piece and then staple the rest down, he said, that's all I have to do. And then they go and fix the bone.
Okay.
But the thing is you can't put weight on it for like 4 weeks. And then there's also physical therapy. I'm not allowed to sit at more than a 90-degree angle, or like you're not supposed to bend at more than a 90-degree angle.
Right.
So I got to be careful.
So no touching your toes. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be careful to how I sit and stuff. And I told Dennis, I said, you're starting a new neighborhood around that time. He'll be out working. I said, I guess I want to see if Joy, my sister, will come up for a couple of weeks. I said, at least to like fix meals and shit.
Yeah.
And she would, especially with this much notice, I'm sure.
Yeah. Dang. That sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that it actually will work good.
You and me both. I told him, I said, I can handle the recovery if I can sleep in a bed.
A bed?
Yeah. I said, because really, and he said, yeah, yours are weird symptoms. Like what you were explaining, she was hearing pops and clicks and stuff or whatever, feeling them. See, I don't have that. He said that is a common symptom, but I don't have that. The only thing I have is pain when I lay down. I'm fully functional other than sleep.
Wow. Huh.
It's just wild.
It is. That's just. Mm-mm. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
No.
I would still say get the hip. I mean, come on.
I honestly, I thought about it. And he said the reason they don't want to do it is that my arthritis is very mild. And he said nothing is like having the real thing. He said you will know that you don't have the real thing. He said it's always better with what God gave you, or whatever was his exact words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what my
But
dentist says about all of my teeth. And I'm like, yeah, but they hurt. So, you know.
I take care of mine. That's one thing I've prevented having problems with. But I floss like twice a day, and I'm always using Listerine. And but yeah, but the thing is that if this surgery doesn't work, then the next thing would be to go in and do a hip replacement, which means I'd have to have 2 fucking surgeries, and I've already had one. And I'm like, so when we went in today, I told Dennis, I said, I'm really leaning towards just having a hip replacement. But after I talked to this guy, he was like, you really should probably try this instead, because you don't want to replace it if you don't have to.
All right. Sure, dude. Whatever.
He's ex-military. I like him. He sat there with Dennis and I for 30 minutes asking a million questions. And I asked him how new this surgery was. And he said it's not that new, but it's just now starting to have lots of people graduating in it. I looked it up. There was this one place in Colorado. I was doing some research yesterday. And he's across the hall from the guy that would do the hip replacement. And I've been meeting with that guy. And he said, look, I think you need to go see this guy across the hall about an arthroscopic treatment. And he said 2 years ago, I would have to send somebody into another town to get this done. He said, now we have one across the hall. So that's how.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically one of these things that's growing as far as a procedure. But he said it's been around well over 20 years. So it's like, okay.
Okay. Well.
And he said, yeah, once you get past the 4 weeks, you'll be off crutches, but you'll still be doing, like, I don't know, physical therapy and minimal whatever it is you would do. And he said, but by 6 months, you should probably be in a gym if you want to work out and that kind of stuff. He said, by then, you should be getting back to normal. And I was like, okay.
Okay. So 3, 2,
1. So, but you did watch the Oscars?
No.
Oh,
I watched highlights of them the next day.
I just realized that.
So yesterday I watched some highlights of them.
Well, you didn't miss much at all. I mean, I like Jimmy Kimmel, but I mean, compared to the Grammys, it was a slog. The Grammys was great. The Oscars was like, meh.
Yeah, I don't think they still haven't gotten producers back like they had in the age of Billy Crystal, when the Oscars were a show you wanted to see because there would be some cool, interesting stuff. I would not have let off my hugely viewed, internationally incredible celebration of cinema with a girl who whispers in her frickin' microphone all the time.
Who? What are you talking about?
Wasn't the first number that the first musical soundtrack nominee was Billie Eilish?
Oh, I like that song.
Yeah, no. I love her structures. I just don't like her voice. She sounds like she's sitting in a closet whispering. And I'm like, well, okay, if that's your stick, cool, I guess. That's fine. I just don't prefer it.
It's not that different from like Julie Cruz, who did the Twin Peaks music.
Julie Cruz to me had range, and there were times when, especially on choruses, she was vocalizing. She
Oh
was
my God,
actually,
Billie Eilish has
you
range.
know,
Just
okay, sure, sure. The
and
closest I've
actually,
come
she
to
has range
liking,
within whispers. I mean, she can hit octaves differently in her whispery voice.
the closest I've come to liking her was the James Bond one she did, that she won the Oscar for too, I think, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to a song called, I think it's called Bad Guys.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And
I think
so
they're
what's-
like this is going to sound stupid, but they're like to me the modern equivalent of the Carpenters because they're brother and sister and they're just supremely talented. But
yeah.
anyway.
See, this is what we should have done. We should have done an episode just on the Oscars, just for the YouTube channel. I mean, like I watched all the highlights. So I loved the concept of the way they brought out past performers for the new category. So all the past best actress winners came out and nominated
that's the best thing they did.
Yeah, definitely. Their the stage design was unique and different and cool, and I liked it. I liked the fact that it was such a thrust. It came out in the audience. All that was cool.
Well, let me ask you this: did you see the In Memoriam?
No. It's the one thing I couldn't find yet.
All right. Well, that's because it's horrible. The In Memoriam I told you at the Grammys was phenomenal. They like extended it to be like 30 minutes and had like performances within it. And it was just amazing. This a Memoriam at the Oscars, I swear it was like it was filmed from someone's cell phone in the far reaches of the audience. I don't understand why. It was so far back, you could barely see the little screen with who the pictures were that were dead. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, I was screaming at the TV.
What was in the foreground? What was
audience? Yeah.
That's
I mean, it was
weird.
like, I'm serious. It was like they used a cameraman in the back of the theater. That's exactly what it looked like to me.
Okay.
And I mean, I think they had an orchestra or something out there playing music below the screen. The screen was like a Pink Floyd circle, which made it even smaller because they were so far back. And I was like, this is horrible. I was like, I can't believe what they're doing. It was just awful. They better not win anything as far as like Emmys for this show because it was terrible. Except for, like you said, those presenting things they need to do all the time. Those are great.
Yeah, and I thought Kimmel was adequate. He's normal.
He was great. Yeah.
I loved the Trump reference. I thought that was great.
It was real from what I got.
Oh, yeah, it's totally real. Yeah. It was totally real. Yeah. But the line about, isn't it past your jail time?
Yeah.
Was so good. But I also liked the speeches. I thought overall the speeches were great.
A lot of them were. The guy that did the Ukrainian speech went a little long, but it was very well done. I mean, I felt for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was glad Nolan won. Wasn't a surprise at all. He is such a quiet person anyway that his speech was up, done, out, we're done, which is fine. I thought Killian's was great. And Emma Stone. Because you could tell she was surprised.
Yeah. Oh, she was like not expecting it.
No.
And
nobody was. I mean, they totally dissed Martin Scorsese. I mean, he didn't win a thing for that movie. And I'm like, that's weird. It's really weird. And I was pretty certain that Lily, what's her name? Gladstone, whatever, I think, would win. And that would be the one they would give him. But they didn't. They gave it to Emma Stone.
And she was funny because her dress was having a malfunction. And I forgot how hoarse sounding she is. I looked over at Dennis. I said, she sounds like Deborah Winger.
She has a very husky voice.
Right. It made me want to watch that movie. It's on Hulu now, too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I had the lady, she's an elderly woman. She covers the newspaper in Greenville. So I follow her through the Capitol account on Facebook, and she posted this big thing about, don't watch this movie. All it is a bunch of softcore porn. I can't believe it. Because it's pretty sexual. I mean, it's basically Frankenstein if she was female and was
Horny.
budding in her sexuality.
Right.
You know.
I've heard that.
So, yeah, I gotta watch it.
And I thought that, well, first of all, I think Jimmy Kimmel is a great host. I mean, he could be like the new Billy Crystal.
Yeah, he could be. I think he needs better writers and a better overall scope to the show. The show's structure needs to change.
Right. And Billy was more of a movie lover, and it focused more on movies, whereas his is more political. But I thought Ryan Gosling's number was fantastic. I was blown away by it.
For the Oscars, that was a hell of a production number.
And I was like watching it, and I said, is that Simu in The Dancers? Because is he a dancer?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. And Dennis said, is he in Barbie? I said, you know what? He is, now that you mention it. So I was shocked to see him in The Dancers.
I saw some production stuff, and even the cameramen for that sequence wore cowboy hats. They gave him cowboy hats.
Well, he had to hold one's hand as he was going back up to the stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw, they had Slash in it, which was kind of a surprise too.
Yeah. And good audio mix too. Really good, because you could hear Slash and he was highlighted, but you could still hear the music. Everything was good. It was very ambient.
Yeah.
Worked really well. Because a recent one I saw, I think it was somewhere. It was music, but it wasn't the Grammys, because I didn't see the Grammys. So it might have been.
You need to watch the Grammys. I'm telling you, when you see it, you're going to be like, Oscars,
it might have been the AMAs, Super Bowl. Super Bowl mix was good this year compared to last year, but the AMA audio mix was awful. One of them saw recently. Anyway, it was, and I liked the fact that he brought all of the crew out at the very beginning. Of course, naturally being a crew guy, I loved it. And he brought them all out and he said, thank you guys for standing with us during the strike. And during your upcoming negotiations, we're going to be standing with you. And I went, yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, he said how do you phrase it? Something like, before we start patting ourselves on the back and congratulating ourselves for such great, incredible work, why don't we recognize the Teamsters, the truck drivers, the crewmen, yada, yada. And they all started coming out on stage. I went, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. So we were talking about music. We also watched that We Are the World documentary. Have you seen that? Something about a night in music or whatever. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
I had forgotten Lionel Richie kind of spearheaded that thing.
Yeah.
And it was right before he got popular, because he had sang for the Commodores, but he had just gone solo. And speaking of the AMAs, he hosted them like the night before. That's how they had everybody there to get them to sing together or whatever. And it was just a massive amount of people that you would never think you'd see in the same room together. Yep. And Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson were the other spearheaders. And Jones is the one that put that note on the door, check your egos at the door. And they recorded that thing till like 4:00 in the morning. They lured Sheila E. there because they wanted to get Prince. They were using her, which is just awful. And when Prince didn't show up, that's how Huey Lewis got his line in the song. And that Huey Lewis song, to me, is one of the best lines in the song.
Yep.
Because it's more distinguishable. It's like Bruce Springsteen or any of those other voices, Bob Dylan, that you can recognize. But anyway, Dennis and I watched that. That was pretty fascinating. Because I didn't know they had filmed all that shit. They filmed all that shit behind the scenes.
Yep. That was smart.
Yeah. Music talk. Music and Oscar talk. All right, let's talk about this show. Now's the time for you to pucker up and kiss my ass.
3, 2,
1.
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.